Welcome to the Market My STR show, the show made exclusively for short-term rental owners and co-hosts that actually works, so you can stop wasting time and money on short-term rental and co-hosting marketing strategies that don't work. Listen in for tips, tricks, and our book solid, move the needle, and core 4 marketing strategies. Here's your host, Scott Hill.
Welcome, everyone, to the 5th episode of the Market My STR show. We're starting to get in a groove, Jeremy, a little bit of a habit forming. That's awesome. Welcome back.
Thanks.
All right. So, many more weeks to come here. I think I've started to think about people to have on with us or have on the broadcast to shed some more light on, STR ownership and management and all that stuff. So, if you this is your first episode with us, listening to us, we are heading down a road. Market My STR, we provide custom marketing features and proven strategies for STR owners to help them get more direct bookings, get management over there, or get control over their STR marketing and really leverage their time. So that's what Market My STR is trying to do for people. One of the things Market My STR does, and one of the communities we have within Market My STR is the co-host community. They use our site to manage communication and building relationships among all of their properties. And so that's what brings Jeremy into this, is Market My STR is really dialing into what it takes to take a co-hosting company from scratch to success. And I got the bug for co-hosting a year ago. And I started looking for someone to partner with because I didn't know how to co-host, but I did have an idea on how to market them. And Jeremy and I are just a perfect fit for each other, and that's what we're so excited about. Let me quickly cover a few things about Market My STR specific so we can get into today's topic, which is I'm basically going to interview Jeremy about the tech stack that he's chosen through his experiences, knowing that we are needing this tech stack to launch a co-hosting company in our new market, and how that's going to help us get through the first couple, 10, I don't know how many, until Jeremy decides he needs a better solution.
Probably going to be faster than that. But...
Okay, very good. I'm excited. So Market My STR, what happened this week? Market My STR launched Market My STR in 100 days, and the promise of that is 20 weeks, Monday through Friday, of game changer strategies, tips, tricks, hacks that can happen by leveraging the Market My STR platform. And what happened this week was a crash and burn problem. This was a massive crash and burn. We launched on Monday. Things went well. Tuesday's game changer was a live training for how to build, clone, and clone unlimited your direct booking page so you can appeal to different avatars, and then also to how to build a co-hosting website quickly by using one of our proven templates and approved templates that we got from one of the industry experts, Bill Faith. So everything was going smoothly until the last part where we tried to clone the web page and found that we had made some major mistakes on the template itself that would not be helpful to our customers. And it was embarrassing. It was one of those Tesla moments where they threw the rock at the window and the window shattered. And just candidly, we failed. And so it caused us to take a step back and say, we need to be prepared. We did not test enough to make sure these templates were foolproof for anybody who wanted to use them. Yes, the structure still is unlike anything you can ever get in a marketing platform for allowing you to use a direct booking page, clone it so you can appeal and tell stories to anybody you want to who you think would be a great fit at a property. That all exists, but that's what happened at Market My STR this week. So the upshot of that is we have delayed, or we're going to schedule relaunch for Monday, August 18th, at which point we will be prepared. We will have things rolling. We'll have a team of people that I have handpicked on my staff to help me get these things in line. So that is the Market My STR story for this week. And if you want help with your Market My STRs and you want to wait until we launch that, then I would consider jumping into Market My STR and taking a look after the 18th, because there is going to be a ton of things that are going to help you get more direct bookings, get control over your STR marketing, and get you some time leverage on your properties and your portfolio. So, Jeremy, all right.
Well, I
Now
think
let's talk.
failure isn't always terrible, right?
No,
Quick way to learn. We're going to fail a bunch of times as we're building alt there.
no.
I've mentioned before, I failed a bunch of times when I was building a management company in the Poconos. So it just leads to growth. So
Yeah, and
I'm
I've
sure on the
noticed
18th
that.
you guys will be ready.
I've noticed that with our approach too. We've been pretty methodical, saying let's get it right before we go out. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
I know we're
as
willing.
right as we can.
Yeah, I know we're willing to jump out of the plane without the chute being completely, created or ready to go. But that's one thing I've found that we're doing too. So I think that's going to be helpful. All right, so let's talk tech stack. So
yeah, do you want to do just quickly what we did last week, what we're going to do this coming week, and then jump into that?
Let's talk alt ver last week.
Yeah, so this past week, really our deadlines, right? Because our accountability groups are on Friday morning. So essentially the weekend's for us Friday, and it starts back up in the afternoon. So this past week was for us to do the podcast, which we did. We talked about WealthCon in the last episode. I ended up signing up for STR Secrets. Had an onboarding call today, so I'm excited to dive into everything that they teach. I continued progress, really just trying to get all of our documents together and cleaned up from initial contact with a potential client to being an onboarded property. Put together the list of tech stack items that we use. We can go through that today. Continue the Justin Ford safety class in Breezeway. I actually had a call with the insurance company. Now I'm drawing a complete blank on their name. But if you complete the safety course, you get a discount. So that was already built into the quotes that they sent over to me today. And then I brought on STR VAs to handle my actually non-short-term rental business bookkeeping. So that was official as of yesterday. So I'm excited to hand that off to them. They have a little bit of catch up to do, but I think they'll get me there. How about your week?
Yeah, my week included some things that I did get done and didn't get done, but they included teaching you how to post content yourself out of our Market My STR platform, and that it will be done this evening, or if not tomorrow. Reconnecting with some 38 agents that I've built relationships with, which I did one today that was phenomenal. Follow up on one of the leads that we have that we had talked about. Have a meeting with Joe Rohn. And I want to speak publicly on Joe Rohn for a second. If you don't know him, he is a savvy realtor down, literally, that's the name of their brokerage, Savvy Realty. He is an agent down in the 38 area. And if you are looking to buy or sell a property in 38, I would look him up. He is a rock star. And then this podcast finalized CoHost Marketer Pro's framework for our sales process. And I had a lot to do, so I had probably put too much on my plate. But the one thing I wanted to highlight is the conversation I had with Joe. I think if you're starting a co-host company, reach out and build some relationships with real estate agents. They can be really impactful.
Yeah, Joe's been great for us now in the market. He also has his own network, like his own little mastermind going too. So
that's
if not in his market, he's a really good, valuable resource to connect with.
That's a great point. He does. I think he offers. In fact, he has a coaching program that if you wanted to dial in with Joe, you wouldn't go wrong there.
Yeah, I mean he's dominating in the Panama City Beach area right now on the co-hosting side too, right? Not just the realtor side.
So what's your plan for this week? So
this week we're checking the first one off right now, podcast.
Yeah.
I'm going to finalize that document list that we need. That's going to get done this week. It's taking me too long to finish that. I want to try and get like 3 hours of courses done from STR Secrets to really dive in. And then there's another long form video that I want to shoot and edit to get ready to post. So that'll be this coming week. Oh, and Proper Insurance is the name of the company.
There you go.
Wister is their sister company. That was the name I was thinking. We're actually going to use them for alt ver for property management insurance.
What was the name of it again?
Wister. WISTER. Yeah.
There
And
you
then
go.
proper insurance is the one to like insure your home.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Before I forget, everybody, if you're listening, Jeremy is going to share his screen on this podcast. And for those of you listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, in the show notes, I will try to provide a link at the two places you can watch this episode, either our Facebook or on YouTube, so that if there are things that you want to see Jeremy display that he's going to today, he's going to walk through, conscious of the fact that many of you will be just listening, but just wanted to make that clear.
Just a list, right? It's a list of stuff that we're using. I'll talk a little bit about what each thing does.
Okay.
And then some integrations and whatnot and approximate costs. Because one of the things that I didn't realize when I was starting the business is how quickly your tech stack can add up in cost every month. And the way that we're going to handle it is we're going to have a set tech fee. We're going to build in a little buffer in there so that if we swap something out to something that's a little bit more expensive, we don't have to go back to each one of our clients for that little bit of an uptick. Some people, if they have a high enough base rate, they just bake it in. So there's different ways to handle it, but you want to be cognizant of it because it can grow on you pretty quickly.
So we might as well hash this out publicly because we had talked recently after listening to Jesse and JT that the way they don't include a tech fee. They don't have any fees. They don't have anything. They just have the 20%, and they don't charge their customers a tech fee. And I think you and I were heading down that direction. Have you changed your mind?
Yeah, just looking at all the stuff that we have, I think, especially in the beginning, if we decide to take on somebody and it's not 20%, right, because we want to get that first one, and we may have to potentially look at lowering that, or our offer is just strong enough, and that's one of the documents that I actually want to finish on that list to put together our offer. I think potentially we could have the tech fee. So it's not finalized. I'm leaning towards keeping it, but you and I can, before we have.
I'm leaning towards not. So stay tuned in an upcoming episode. We'll see how that works out.
Just, I think from my past experience, and again, it was different types of properties. It's not the same type of property we're going after now. When I didn't include it, it ate away at my fee.
Now, this is one of the things that if someone's listening and they're new to CoHosting, this is absolutely something they got to make a decision on, whether to charge a tech fee or whether or not, which is good to bring this up. So, all right, without further ado, when you list each of these, I may have a why kind of thing, or I may have a question, but I'm going to turn this over to you.
Yeah, hopefully I have all the answers, but I'm just going to talk through the things that we use, what they are, if it's integrated with our PMS and approximate costs, and if there's any other notes that I can think of, I'll share them. But first off, so we use HostAway as our PMS. Each PMS typically has a page that says all the integrations that they have. HostAway calls it their marketplace, and that's this screen. And I just quickly did a count before the show because I feel like when I first went on to HostAway in 2022, I could be off, but I feel like it was like 20 integrations maybe, with a lot coming, and now there's 216. And I feel like they're adding new ones every single day. So the list that we're going to go through is just our current list, but there's probably multitude of options for almost every single one of these tools out there. So definitely do some research. These are just the ones that we like for now. And then there's some on here that, considering adding to the tech list. And then not all of them are integrated with HostAway. And integration just means essentially the data from the reservations and whatnot is connected with this piece of tech.
Is it going to take you off like your focus if I ask like why HostAway versus one of the others kind of deal? Why did you make the personal decision?
I had a little bit of a journey on PMS options. We used Hospitable initially when we had just a couple. And I think Hospitable is a great platform if you're a smaller operator with just a few properties and you're not planning to scale. Super user friendly. You can get up and running real fast. They started as a smart messaging company and then turned into a PMS. When I started to grow, I felt like I was going to outgrow it. So I switched to HostAway. HostAway worked pretty well it's definitely a huge lift to switch property management companies. So you want to make sure you're picking somebody that you're pretty happy with early on. Was pretty happy with HostAway. Had some, again, this is I think 2022. Ended up having some connection issues with VRBO, and then it was pretty clunky on how to access and respond to direct booking requests. And at that time, I wanted to get a website going, so we switched to Hostfully because those issues seemed to be a little less pronounced. We were with Hostfully for probably a year and a half. Had some issues I won't go into, but some significant frustrations there where we actually lost some money. And then was trying to figure out what I was going to. I did another demo with HostAway in a couple years. They had expanded significantly. They had raised a lot of money, and I felt like there were a lot of advances. And I already was familiar with the system. I did look at OwnerRez because a lot of people in the inner circle are OwnerRez people. I will say OwnerRez is probably about half the cost of HostAway.
Wow.
But from my understanding, it's a lot harder to learn. It's a lot less user-friendly, and it takes a lot more to get set up. So I decided to stay with what I know and pay a little bit more and stick with HostAway, thinking that they're just going to keep expanding and improving.
So your screen shows HostAway at 25 to 30 a month, and is that linear? One or 100?
Yeah, so most of these tech options are tiered, right? So it starts at a higher price when you only have one listing, one device, one whatever it is, and then as you add more, that cost per item goes down. Okay. So HostAway, I think, is about $25-30 per month when you have less than 3 listings or so, and then as you keep scaling, it goes down and down to I think about $10 a month, and that's just for the base PMS features. They have other things in there that we might actually start using, like the smart lock function. I may switch and start using HostAway smart lock function, so it's all in one place.
So last question, then you can move on.
Yeah.
Do you see HostAway, after having all of this experience with all these other PMSs and HostAway now 2 stints with them, do you see them knowing that we want about 50 properties as a solution, or do you feel like there's a point where you may have to make a tough decision?
No, I think they're going to be the one we're going to use long term. I think there's still going to be a consolidation in the market. Like I think at some point, because there's a ton of PMSs out there, I think at some point there's going to be the few, and I think it already exists, but just can become a little bit more pronounced that dominate the market. And I think HostAway is going to continue to be one of them. So I've been happy with it since I came back. We know Dan in our group's using it as well. He's had some pretty good experience with it as well. So cool. I think it's ours to stay, and that's really the biggest piece.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Last question about. It's not really necessarily about the PMS. So I am being honest. I don't have another question. But have you listed these in order of importance that you're going through, or not really any particular order?
No, I just tried to group them kind of into like similar functionality or what the objective was of the piece of tech.
Okay.
So I started with the PMS. PMS is the most important, right? And that you're going to need that. Even if I had one property, I would be on Hospitable. You want to have that synced calendar. You want to make sure you don't have any double bookings, one place to message, automated messaging, things like that. And then just OTAs, I'm considering it tech. Some people might differ, but we're on Airbnb, VRBO, and Google Vacation Rentals. There's a ton more options out there. I haven't been willing to venture into Booking.com. People have really good experiences with it. People have really bad experiences with it. But in terms of fees, Airbnb gives you 2 options these days. One is host pays the entire fee, which is a 15% fee of the reservation, and the guest pays 0. Or you do a split fee, host pays 3%, and the guest can pay up to 20%. So I pay all of it. I do an adjustment in Price Labs that pushes adjustment in HostAway that pushes our pricing to Airbnb up 15%. So we're not really covering that cost, but we're still cheaper than anybody doing split fee because there's a 20% add onto their guests.
So I assume everybody listening's far enough along to know what OTA means, but could you define that?
Yeah, online travel agency.
Okay.
Yeah, good point. VRBO gives you two options as well: 5% commission plus a 3% processing fee, or it's about a $500 annual fee for unlimited bookings and the 3% processing fee. I'm currently on the 5% commission just because I don't get a ton of VRBO bookings in the Poconos, but for us and Alt Bear in 30A, there's a good chance we're going to go to the unlimited.
So in your experience, it may change with the new market we're going to on 30A, but in your experience, what percentage of your bookings are coming from Airbnb versus VRBO and or
it's probably like 90-10 Airbnb.
Wow.
I still think we're going to get more bookings, and maybe we'll look back at this show and I'll be way off, but I still think we're going to get more bookings on Airbnb in 30A than we are VRBO. We just know how to make sure we're staying higher in the rankings and doing the things we need to do on Airbnb. VRBO is still a little bit more of a black box.
Okay.
So I think we'll do better there. And then Google Vacation Rentals is free. HostAway gives you the ability to push onto Google Vacation Rentals. I haven't gotten anywhere with that yet. Haven't really spent a lot of time to figure it out. But at some point, I think it's going to become pretty powerful for all hosts. So next is dynamic pricing. Highly recommend everybody have a dynamic pricing tool. Allows you to set your pricing, set your seasonality. There's an insane amount of tools, and then there's also a market dashboard, and I'll hit that in a minute. But we use Price Labs. I think the main three are Price Labs, Wheelhouse, and Beyond Pricing. Price Labs is about $15 a month per listing, and you add them. You basically link into, you integrate with your PMS. So we integrate with HostAway, and that allows you to sync. And basically what you do is you push your pricing from Price Labs, or Price Labs pushes your pricing to your PMS, and then it goes out to your listing. So we're able to do the offset in HostAway to raise Airbnb pricing, but the pricing goes out as is for VRBO from Price Labs. You have some payment processing. We use Stripe. That's also integrated with HostAway. We use that for VRBO and for direct booking. When you're what's called an integrated host, it means you're using a property management system. VRBO now hands off payment processing to you. So if you're not using PMS, VRBO collects all the funds like Airbnb. They send you your payment. If you are on a PMS, VRBO takes their fee and then hands everything off to you, and you're responsible for collecting the fee. And that could be good and bad, right? Like Airbnb can make decisions to refund guests. It's a little bit more up to you if you're an integrated host using VRBO.
In your experience, does Airbnb have like a warm, complimentary, loving, like strategic relationship with these PMSs, or are they like a reluctant partner, have to use them? Like, what's your sense of all that?
No, I mean, they need to use them. So they're open to integrating. I think there's some tech companies out there that they're a little resistant to share data with. I think IntelliHost recently got booted from Airbnb. I think it was the way that they were added to people's Airbnb accounts. But for the most part, they're open to it. There's probably a lot of people out there that are not using a PMS, but I think it's going in the direction of vast majority eventually using a PMS. And then for bookkeeping, so I earlier in the show I mentioned I brought on STR VAs. That's from my non-short-term rental business. I'm using Keystone Bookkeeping for my short-term rental business. They've been great. Virtual bookkeeping and VR platform. I'm actually not sure what the price is because it's part of my fee to Keystone. But essentially what it does is it's a platform where I can log in. That's where all the statements are. And then if they have questions on any of the things they need to categorize, that pops up and I'm able to go in and tell them what it is and tell them what property it's associated with. So it's an easy way to quickly resolve any questions they have so that they can finalize the statements for the month. And then we've got a lot of data analytics out there. So essentially the list that I have here that we use is Price Labs again, because we use that for the market dashboard, AirDNA, B&B Calc, STR profit maps, and I added rank freeze. Rank freeze is a little different than the other ones. I would say right now we mostly use Price Labs, and then second is probably B&B Calc, right? Because we're using that for the realtor property reports that we're putting together. And then third is AirDNA. But typically when we do an income report, we want to use 3 sources and take an average and then get a tiered range of where property income could be. So for those reports, we use Price Labs, AirDNA, and B&B Calc. Rank Breeze is a little different. It tracks where you're ranked in Airbnb. So it has other features. A lot of them are adding pricing features and things like that. But it allows you to see where you're landing in Airbnb search. If you dipped, when you make a change to your listing, it automatically shows a change occurred on the graph, and did that help or hurt your ranking? So you can go ahead and make adjustments. They also offer a do-it-for-you plan where they'll optimize your listing for you, and then they do like SEO and wish listing campaigns. Wish listing is essentially getting somebody to heart your listing, get more people to like it, more eyes on it. So Price Labs Market Dashboard can go anywhere from about $20 a month to $40 plus a month. And it's per market and the number of listings, the data that's getting pulled in that you select. AirDNA has a free version and then a pro version that can go up to about $40 a month. And then there's an advanced custom pricing and then a business plan. B&B Calc, pro plan and a team plan, well, free plan, and then the pro plan and team plan are both $17 a month. STR profit maps gives you a free version, or you can get a monthly one at $40 a month, or it's a yearly cost of $360. And then Rank Breeze, again, is tiered, similar to most of the other ones. To start, it's $29 a month for up to 3 listings. Then it gets to $67 for up to 10 properties. So it's $67 a month for that total up to 10. And then I think it scales up from there. So next, I'm kind of including in like home, some of the home stuff. Smart locks, we're going to require Schlage as the lock that we use. Good integration with HostAway. Like I said, we're probably going to switch over and just have lock control within our PMS. You have to buy the lock. Either you install it, it's pretty easy to do, or pay a handyman to do it. And the app is free if you were just working off the app. First year in short-term rentals, my business partner and I, every time we got a booking, it was day of check-in. We had a reminder. We'd go into the app, we'd create a door code for them, and then we'd manually send them a message that said, here's your door code. You don't have to do any of that anymore. It's all automated, custom door codes for your guests. So that's a great feature that's been around for a while. Security cameras, we use Ring. I found it to be the best. I used Blink on a couple of properties, and it just functionality I didn't like as much. That's about $200 a year, and then you've got to buy the camera. We also buy solar chargers that we connect to it, so that helps to recharge the battery versus somebody having to take the battery out of the camera and charge it. And then noise monitoring, we use, I think it's Minute. I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Minute, not Minute. This is also integrated with HostAway. And then it's got a free plan. If you buy a device, the plan is actually free. And then, the device is free when you get a plan. There's a standard plan of about $10 a month per property. Then it goes to $15 per month. And then there's a pro option of $20 per month where you get different features. There's Minute, Noise Aware, and a few others. They're all changing. Now some of them detect smoke. There's a lot of different things they do. Now they have exterior noise monitors as well. I know when they first came out, the issue was how do you pick up noise from guests versus just outdoor noise? And it sounds like they've gotten better. I haven't tried to use those yet.
So everybody likes stories. You had mentioned I'm all in with this decision for sure, but like you said that you used words like we're going to require them to use our locks. Have you ever run into a conversation where you guys are deciding whether to work together or not, and they haven't been using the things you require, number one? And did that lead to where you just decided you weren't going to work with them kind of decision?
So have ran into that when I was initially building the Poconos company, and that was with cameras and door locks, and I folded, and found it to be pretty annoying and frustrating to the, like, I would sometimes get locked out of their app, and then I would have to reach out to them to get back in, and it just got really frustrating. So had a Yale lock. I actually have Yale on my house right now because I wanted to test it out again because I think the locks are pretty good. I just don't like locks that have to have a separate hub to then connect to the internet. Okay. I feel like there's a lot of issues. At least me personally, I've always had issues. Schlage doesn't need that. The lock itself connects directly to the internet, so it eliminates that layer of potential problems. And then another one was using Blink cameras, and it was the same thing, having to go on a different app, accidentally getting knocked out, having to get back in. So going forward,
actually, let me ask you a tough question. Yeah. Knowing that we want to have 50 properties or so, knowing that is going to require us to be very, very ironclad decision making about these types of things. Right now, from 1 to 5, properties, clients 1 to 5. Number 3 comes on. We've got 2, and we really want to grow. And that owner, it's going to $200,000-$300,000 worth of booking revenue, and they say no. I'm going to use my locks. What are you going to do?
Yeah, I mean, if the question is, do they just don't want to deal with replacing the lock, and it's $300, so why am I spending $300 on a lock when my property is going to produce this, and you're getting 20% of it? I'll just buy the lock. Okay. Right. Like I would rather say, okay, we're going to buy it, no charge, to get that client, and just make sure our systems are tight.
I'm glad I answered I'm glad I asked the question, because I don't know if anybody would. I'm not sure I would have guessed that. But that's a great decision, I think, to get the business, make the investment.
$300.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it just makes sense. If they're adamant that, like, no, I have other properties, all of my home properties, I have multiple across the country, are all on Yale locks, and I'm not going to change this one, we'd have to think about it. I think at scale, it just does get challenging to have all of these different things and apps and things to log into for one feature, whether it's locks, cameras, noise monitoring.
That brings up another good question I have. I'm assuming my question's good. That might be beyond, but would it be and might it be possible that we take the client on, we try to do what you said, but then knowing that the way our agreement works as a co-host, we do get to 10 clients, and then we go back to that number 3 and say, you know what, it's time for us to say goodbye to each other, right?
Potentially, if it's that much of a problem, right?
Yeah.
Or go back and say, hey, we really have to change this, and if if it's that big of a problem, we could move on. Okay. But yeah, no, the goal would be keep everybody on the same tech.
Yeah.
So guest welcome screens. Got this one from Derek Israel, who was in the first coaching program alongside me in the same pod. The company's called Welcome Screen. It's pretty cool. It does integrate with HostAway. Essentially, your guests walk in, and there's a custom welcome screen on the TV that says their name, whatever custom message you want it to be. It can have photos. It can give them the weather. It can have your Market My STR guidebook app QR code up there. So it's really nice. You can play music. The one thing is the cleaners have to leave the TV on, right? So if you got to make sure your TV is not going to turn off, and then if it's a week in between bookings, it means your TV's on for a week, or you got to get somebody to go back. So at some point, hopefully there's a way to remotely, or if somebody does know, please let us know how to remotely turn on the TV and set that. That'd be great. But we've been using that, and I think it's a good feature. The next 2 are going to be really big for us. One's cleaning management, one's project management. Cleaning management, we're using Breezeway. That is also integrated with HostAway. 4 units or less, it's $20 a month per property. And then when you get up to 5+, you have to schedule a demo, and then they give you pricing, I guess, based on your portfolio. We're going to use that for cleaning checklists, inspector checklists, tracking maintenance and repair items. And then essentially it's going to allow us to just keep track of all these things way better. Initially, I was doing task management for handyman and contractors in HostAway, and it's just not as robust. And one of the problems that I currently have with the cleaner and the Poconos is they have their own system for doing cleaning checklists, and they update it. And I've been trying to get them to switch to Breezeway. They're a larger company, but there's some functionality issues and they haven't done it yet. But we run into a problem. For example, an HOA changed rules on amenity badges for our guests. Now we have to pay for badges. Previously, we paid for them up front. The badges stayed at the house, and we had to make sure guests returned them when they were done. Now guests have to go pick up badges. It took probably 3 turns before we were finally able to get the cleaners to remove leaving the badges out with the sign that says, "Here's your badges," which confused all of our guests. We had guests go out with incorrect badges and be told they're not using the right badges. So, things like that, we can quickly now log in and make the change on our own. And I think it's going to be super important to controlling and owning the cleaning checklist. Project management, we're using Monday.com. So right now we've got 2 uses for it. And I think one of them I'm going to drop. I haven't mentioned this to you yet, but I think, so right now we use it for reservation management, and our Google Drive Knowledge Hub is pulled into Monday. I think I'm going to drop the Knowledge Hub from Monday. Now that we've been using it, I don't think it's really that useful. And I think what we're going to do is reservation management, and we're going to have guest experience. And essentially what we've done is every time we get a booking through a Zap, we're integrated to HostAway. It pulls in that reservation, and then we get an automated list of all the tasks that have to happen pre-check-in, during check-in, and after check-in. And that's something that Kimmy goes through every week and just making sure she accomplishes all those tasks. So we're definitely going to keep using that. And then we'll probably add in guest experience, because we're going to level up guest experience in 30A. We'll build it up slowly, but it'll be, making restaurant reservations, concierge services, things like that. So we're going to need a way to track what we have to do, when it has to be done, and we're going to do it on Monday.
I'm pretty sure I'm paying $22 a month for each of my team members to use Monday. I'm gonna have to check that. Like, I see
I wonder if you're in the enterprise custom.
I certainly don't want to overpay for what I need, but yeah, okay. So all right.
Yeah, so you got the free option, which gives you some of the features. You have a basic, which is $9 a month per user. A standard is $12 a month per user. Pro, $19 a month per user. And then, like I said, an enterprise, which is a custom price.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're probably, how many people are using it?
12.
Yeah, you're probably about that limit.
I know I'm like in the couple $100 a month range, and easy.
And that's just one piece of tech, right? I mean, we've already gone through.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
15, 10, 12 pieces.
Yeah. I don't even go with my tech stack.
So Knowledge Hub is the next big one. And I put a list of things that we're going to potentially start using, and there's one that's pretty big that's down below that we'll touch on later. But right now our Knowledge Hub is Google Drive.
Yep.
That's where our playbook is. That's where we track all the template documents that we're creating, all the reference documents that we're creating, right? So a reference document might be, here's all the information about a property. It gets stored in a reference document. It's easy to find in our playbook. SOPs get saved in there as well. And then just basically any knowledge and company information is saved in there. So that's our Knowledge Hub for now. That may change over the course of the year, where Google Drive still might get used for some things, but our main hub might be elsewhere. Knowledge Hub, I also threw out ChatGPT. Everybody's using it. You're going to have to use it if you want to keep up. It's got a free version. The plus version is $20 a month. There's a team version for $200 a month. And then you go above that and it's a custom price. Reason why I say Knowledge Hub is because there's an opportunity to add, I may start adding communication with guests into a chat in ChatGPT so that Kimmy can then ask, hey, how would I respond to this problem? And it's going to give her an example of how I would respond or how I have responded in the past. I already have her responding to guests. One of the things I haven't done is really create SOPs for that, but she's doing a great job. I mean, super polite, she's been good. So may not need it for that, but I think there is functionality there to take company related things, plug it into ChatGPT, and have that available for everybody. And then obviously we're using it for other things as well, right? Just general knowledge. And I actually was building out some presentation templates last night, which I'll be working on again this weekend from there, and then bringing that into Canva. And then another huge one is Loom for Knowledge Hub. This is where we're creating all of our SOPs. There are other systems out there, but Loom allows you to share your screen, record it. You can download, copy the transcript. And what I was doing was copying the transcript, putting it in ChatGPT. I had a chat that was all about SOPs, and it would spit out my SOP. I'd quickly edit it, add links to different things within the playbook. Now Loom has an SOP option where you can click and say, turn mine into an SOP, and it spits it out for you with screenshots from your Loom video. So pretty powerful. If you're looking to build a business and you're creating SOPs, definitely have Loom or something similar. Then like overall marketing, tech stack, email collection, I'm using StayFi. We'll talk about it, Market My STR here in a minute. StayFi is integrated with HostAway. Starts at $15 a month for one device, and then $9 a month if you have 15 to 19 devices, and then it goes on and on from there. The device ranges from 99 to 200. Essentially, StayFi collects guest contact info. They want to use the email. It's like going to a Starbucks. You put in your name, your email, you check, enter, and it gives you access to the email. One thing to keep in mind, and this goes over your house email, so your house Wi-Fi. So your main Wi-Fi still exists. You're just not giving that info out to the guests. If any guests want to use something like a baby monitor, anything that needs to connect to Wi-Fi outside their phone or computer, they're going to need access to your main home Wi-Fi, because they're not going to be able to get past that initial screen to make the connection. So just something to keep in mind. There are going to be times you're going to have to share your main home Wi-Fi. Initially, when I started using StayFi, I thought I was going to get a lot of people that were frustrated or didn't want to use StayFi, or didn't want to give me their contact info. You can click, don't market to me, so you get taken off the list. And honestly, you get a lot of fake emails where people just put in, whatever, and it's fine. They still get access. I really, maybe once in the 2 years I'm using it, I've had a guest reach out and say, I don't want to use it. And then I just send them the house email or house Wi-Fi, and it ends up not being a problem. I mentioned Canva. We use Canva for digital marketing presentations and reports. It's got a free option. Pro option is $15 a month per person. So Teams option for $10 per user per month. Seems weird that's cheaper. And then an enterprise custom option. I'm going to skip down to CapCut. So I recently started using CapCut for the Facebook videos that we're putting out. Essentially, it's a editing tool. Has a free version, a standard version for $6 a month, pro version for $20, and a Teams for $25. I know you've been using CapCut, but a few others, right, as well for a while?
Mm-hmm. CapCut, I just recently sort of tried out again, and I was happy with it. I took enough time to really use it. I was pretty impressed. I do use Descript too, and I've used Camtasia in the past. I mean, yeah, there's a bunch.
Yeah, so I'm new to this, right? Like I haven't really made many videos. So when I first had downloaded CapCut, I was excited. I have a long commute to the city. I was like, oh, I can edit my videos on my long commute. And I found that to be a challenge to be able to cut at the right spots. So I've been using it on my computer instead, because I was having weird transitions.
Does CapCut have a computer tool too? Desktop?
Yeah. So it's got a desktop, or you can just log in through the web. Okay. So I use the desktop, but I also then try and get everything off my computer so everything doesn't crash when I'm using it. And then Market My STR, obviously for digital marketing. There's probably more things here than I've listed, but essentially just to kind of run down through some of the things that Market My STR, since this is the Market My STR show, provides. And then the number of things that it gets rid of you having to use if you weren't using Market My STR. So Market My STR gives you email collection, right? Right now I'm using StayFi, but you can collect emails through Market My STR. You can require it to access Guidebook and things like that. Gives you landing pages and websites. For example, you would use Squarespace for that. Guidebooks you can create within Market My STR. TouchStay, Hostfully have guidebooks. Email marketing, you can do that in StayFi. I noted MailChimp. Text marketing, StayFi and MailChimp. CRM, all within Market My STR. An example would be HubSpot. So, I mean, it's just an example of, 1, 2, 3, really 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 6 different subscriptions you would need just to be able to do these things, which is all encompassed within Market My STR.
And what I can't wait for is
QR code creation.
Yeah, what I can't wait for is what we've already laid the groundwork for, which is having a communications hub that also includes a mobile app where we can communicate with our guests all over the world, wherever we are, any time of day or night, and have a team monitoring the conversations hub so that when someone does have a question, could you speak to that though? Because we've always advocated for the best in-class solution for the circumstance. So I know that a PMS has a messaging feature. I know that the OTAs have messaging features. How are you going to either combine Market My STR and or use the best solution when it's called for?
Yeah. So we're going to have to kind of figure that out. I think for now it's the PMS. One of the things I'm going to talk about later is an AI messaging tool, HostBuddy, which I might bring on, right? That's another way to message.
Do we need a part 1, part 2? We're at 45 minutes.
Yeah. Well, here, let's see what we have left. I can run through this quick and then we can, because I don't think it's enough for part 2. But to answer that quickly, I think it's PMS / a potential AI option. And I'm excited to use Market My STR with the phone number to be able to text, send, videos via text, whatever it's going to be, and have other people monitoring it. Right now, I just use a Google Voice number in Poconos, and it's, I have to be able to see it and respond to it, and we're going to get away from that and make it so it's scalable.
And Market My STR's platform is going to be leveraging a lot of AI too. We're ramping that up. So
sure. Yeah. Next two, I'm wearing the shirt, Happy Guest. I've been using Happy Guest for a little while. They've been great. Guest verification and guest damage waiver security hold. There's a lot of companies out there that do background checks on guests. Happy Guest doesn't do that, but it does require your booking guest to do a selfie with their ID. And the thinking behind that is if somebody is not willing to do that, then they're probably not the guest that you potentially want. I did just lose a booking, I'll be honest, today because they were upset that any of them had to do that. So they canceled. And all that stuff's in the reservation, in our listing info. We disclose everything. And I will say Airbnb changed rules. Happy Guest is changed rules on a lot of things. Happy Guest works with Airbnb, so they'll give you information to put into your listing to make sure you're compliant with Airbnb rules about taking people off of Airbnb for things.
So I may have missed it. You may have said it, but quickly, when do you do the selfie? At the booking or when you check in?
Booking.
Okay.
So the Happy Guest link goes out to the guest an hour after they book.
Okay, and then
they have to do it. It's not integrated with the PMS. Like the guest has to click the link and go in, and that's something that Kimmy monitors in the Monday list of items. Did they complete the Happy Guest items?
So the process of that was that person you said you lost the booking. They did a reservation, and then an hour later they got a link asking them to do the selfies, and that's when they refused, and that's when you cut the booking off? Or
they refused 2 days later.
Okay.
So it's in our listing, says exactly what's going to happen. They booked. An hour later, they got the Happy Guest message. And then today was, I think, 2 days after their booking. They reached out. It was pretty short. Like, we're not happy about having to do a selfie. And I said, well, it's just the booking guest. And they basically were like, well, we've never had to do this before. We're not going to do it. We're going to cancel our reservation. So, unfortunate it happened, but potentially, they could have been a bad guest and avoided a problem. And they've got also guest damage waiver and security hold. It gives guests the option to pay a non-refundable fee towards accidental damage. So we have a $1,500 limit towards basically like a $30 fee or $40 fee that the guests pay. It's non-refundable. And then if they don't want to pay the fee, there's a $1,000 security hold 7 days after they check out. If there's no issues, Happy Guest refunds it. I was a little tentative to do the guest damage waiver. I felt like it gave people the thinking of, well, I just paid a non-refundable fee. I can do whatever I want in this house. I'm covered. I haven't had that be the case. Most people do go for it. And one of the things Happy Guest does is they allow you to mark it up. So I think I'm making like $7, $8, something like that every time somebody does it. And I've used them when there's an issue, and they've been great. I've gotten refunded pretty quickly. And then just other things that are not tech, but things you're going to need: supplies and delivery, Walmart Plus, Instacart, Amazon. And then one thing that we do use, at least for the homes that we own, it's kind of like a curated retail platform, is Minoan Experience. It's free. Essentially, it gives you discounts to a ton of different providers across everything you would need to operate and own a short-term rental. So they've been pretty great. And then the list here is just things that we may potentially use. I'll run through this pretty quick. But Knowledge Hub, I mentioned we might change from Google Drive being the focus. I might change us to Notion. But watching a lot of videos on Notion, it seems like it's an incredible tool. So we may have some things saved in Google Drive, but everything will be linked and built out in Notion. I got to think about when I'm going to try and tackle that beast of getting to a place where I understand it and I'm quick to build out the pages we need and build SOPs. But one thing that's good is STR Secrets also uses Notion, and they have stuff in there. So that should help me get there even faster. AI messaging, HostBuddy AI, I had mentioned. So it's AI guest messaging. They also do automated tasks, which is going to be potentially a valuable thing to us, where if a guest mentions something's damaged, broken, an issue, it automatically gets tagged onto a task list, and then you can tag the person who needs to go and repair it. So that'll be a nice feature that is integrated with HostAway. Smart home item, Jervis, could control door locks if we wanted, but it controls devices throughout your house: HVAC, pool, hot tub, lights, really anything you want. It can be a hub for controlling everything. And they've got a bunch of different pricing, but it can be $5 a device if you just want to pick and choose what you're using, up to $12 a month for 3 devices, $20 a month for 5, $35 for 8. And then their ultimate is, I guess, $60 for up to 15 devices. Smart scent diffusers. You and I have talked through this a little bit. I think we thought no. I've gone back to thinking maybe we use it, of having a scent in a home. The concern is guest doesn't like a scent, automatically they're going to have a horrible stay. So deciding if we're going to use that, but if we do, we might use Pura.
I have a question for you. If the scent is not on for a period of time and you walk in the home, is there any trace of that scent or no?
There might be. I don't know. I may actually experiment with it in my house. I just got their sample booklet of scents. I'm going to let Nina choose which one we're going to have in our house, but I'm going to test it out and see.
We went to lunch.
If we knew in advance, maybe it's a question if we have it for our guest, and if they say no, we don't want it, and there's enough time in between guests, we can.
That's what I was getting at, because we went to lunch, and there was one of those diffusers very close to our table, and Bridget is like, all natural. She doesn't want any of that chemical stuff, whatever it is. So she's like, and I couldn't even smell it, but she's like a hound. She can smell anything that's not good. So she smells it, and I look around. I'm seeing if anybody's looking, and I go unplug it because I don't want her to do it. So I unplugged it, and for our entire lunch, it was off. But no one came to check. But it did take pretty much the scent entirely away. So I was curious whether or not, and you may find this to be true when you guys test it.
Yeah.
That if that's the case, then what you said is probably accurate. We could just ask them before they check in, do you want the scent or do you not?
Right. Yeah. And I'd have to play with the app. It's not integrated with HostAway, but there's ways to set schedules, right? And like maybe it's just an hour before check-in and then like one time a day or something like that. It's not a continuous pumping sent. It's just something that there. And actually Pure gives you two different options. You can put in two into one device. So you could have like a morning and an evening if you wanted sent, if you want to get that crazy. So might be something we do. Typeset is another digital marketing presentation reports thing, AI driven. You upload your info, you say what you want, it spits out a whole report for you, which is pretty interesting. I just signed up for Superhuman, which is an email AI tool, but I'm using that for my non-short-term rental business. I'll circle back if it helps, but it's essentially supposed to give you a zero inbox or close to zero inbox every day by things that you don't have to respond to, kind of moving away, and it giving you summaries of everything. So it's supposed to kind of help really cut down the amount of time you spend in email. We may not really need it because most of the stuff's going to be in our PMS. I'll knock out these last few. Custom guest thank you notes through a company called Handwritten. Concierge services like Mount, Baby Quip. We probably want to outsource some of these things, and for liability reasons, we may not want to be the ones that have something staying in the house. If it's broken, we may want a service provider to bring that, even if it's every reservation, bring that to the property. Trash services out there, Can Monkey and Fido, take your can to the street, move it back after pickup so it doesn't sit out there. That's a big problem in the Poconos. We have somebody who goes and literally empties every trash can and takes it to the compactor for us for every house. Amenity management, it's a company called Sojo. For every single reservation, they send to the house the specific amenity package that you want for that reservation. So you're not reordering, making sure you're stocked. It's going to be there for those guests. Seems like a little bit of a coordination, potential nightmare, but something that's interesting to look at. And then data analytics, last one, key data. I used them in the past. I didn't need them at the time that I was using them, so I stopped, but focuses more on large property management company data. And if/when we get to 50 properties, there may be a place where we're saying, okay, we now need to compare to these other guys, not the one-off homes that AirDNA and Price Labs and whatnot are giving us. So it's a long list. And again, that's a long list, but it's a short list compared to just everything that's available on HostAway in the 216 available.
Yeah, scroll down again just to the last row. So you have 66 with a couple gaps. So like you're probably around, you're considering 45. Or already have in the mid 50s, right? 50 or so.
Yeah.
Tech stack related items to launch our co-host company. That's amazing.
With some of them being duplicate.
Yeah.
Right, like Price Labs does, dynamic pricing, and the market dashboard.
Yeah. And you went as fast as you can. So the reality of this, people, is I'm not going to apologize for this being 57 minutes in length. This is an incredibly important piece of building a 21st century co-hosting company, especially given the fact that we are remote. And I would think, Jeremy, you would probably still need those if you're a local co-host, but technology and how you execute your co-hosting business probably takes on a whole different importance when you're remote.
1,000,000% are going to have a tech stack. How big it is just depends on type of company you want to build.
Awesome job, Jeremy. Hey, everyone, thank you for listening into today's episode of Market My STR. I'm not sure what we're going to discuss this week, but I can promise you it's going to be partly Hope there and the hosting company, what can we accomplish, what are we looking to accomplish, and then some Market My STR stuff, maybe a guest. But thanks again for listening, and we'll catch up with everyone next week. Thank you, Jeremy.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Scott. Talk to you later.